This is going to be fun.
Now, back to Talk of the Town.
Here are a couple of statistics that should shake you to your core. 50% of college graduates in the state of North Carolina do not know how long the terms are for their representatives and their senators. 10% of college graduates think Judge Judy is on the U.S. Supreme Court. A third of Americans cannot name a single right protected by the First Amendment, and that's why the North Carolina REACH Act has been introduced in the legislature and is moving through the legislature. Here's the interesting thing about it. This bill was written by an attorney who is an active duty Marine here in North Carolina, Jameson Broggi. I got Jameson on the phone right now. Good morning, Counselor. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Henry. This is really fun. You know, I love for a year and a half, I've been listening to you and Patrick on the way into work, and I love listening to Big Hen and P-Man, so this is really fun that I actually get to come on, and it's coming on by not losing on a genius quiz for a change, so this is fun.
So are you at Cherry Point or Lejeune?
I'm at Cherry Point, and been here for a little over about a year and a half, and yeah, what we're talking about today, this is, you know, this is something I'm working on separately from the Marine Corps on my private time. I'm taking a couple days off, even in the legislature, to work on it. So yeah, this is awesome. But I'm at Cherry Point.
I need to say that I met Jameson and his wife the morning we were down in Oriental, I believe. Wasn't it Oriental that you guys came?
Yep, good memory.
You guys took the ferry over that morning to the show, which was awesome.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, we'd never ridden the ferry before. That was a good time.
Well, I really enjoyed meeting you that day, and I had no idea that you were going to be changing the history of North Carolina. You actually have this thing got traction in a hurry. Now, you started this in South Carolina. Are you from South Carolina?
Yeah, I grew up in Beaufort, South Carolina, and now live in Morehead City. I live about 5 minutes from Beaufort, North Carolina. So how about that?
Yeah, you live in a beautiful place. So you got this bill passed in South Carolina, and you wrote this bill for North Carolina, which the REACH Act I'll let you give a summary. Essentially, if it's passed and the governor signs it, what will it do? What does it say?
Yeah, so it'll require here in North Carolina that you won't be able to graduate from college unless you take a 3-credit-hour course in American government, which I put in the bill, by the way, that requires that students have to read the founding documents in their entirety. We put that in the bill that when you take the class, you have to read the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, 5 Federalist papers, Martin Luther King's letter from a Birmingham jail, that you have to read those documents in their entirety. So professors, you know, they're going to give their commentary that they're going to give, but the founding fathers are going to have their commentary as well.
So the idea here is, with all this woke culture and all these woke professors we have in some, now nearly all of our universities in North Carolina, you know, to show the college students what the founding fathers intended with these documents, and not just the interpretation by their professors, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I love our country. We live in such a wonderful place that we call home here in America. But here in this country, you're not born knowing how to be an American. You have to learn these things. You have to learn the principles of how we preserve our freedoms, what our rights are in the Declaration of Independence. And we say that our rights come from our Creator, our Constitution that establishes our separation of powers. But the problem that we have now that you just read just a minute ago on the show, that so many even college graduates don't know about how our country operates. I mean, you just read that 10% of college graduates think Judge Judy is on the Supreme Court, and that's just a shame. Now, here in our state, not a single public college in the UNC system requires a class on American government. But let me tell you something that they do require. UNC Chapel Hill requires, not as an elective that people can take as an option, but requires students to take a 3-credit-hour class on global understanding, but no requirement for American government.
Yeah, it's going in the wrong direction, and as I always say on this show, we all have to get together and fight the woke. So God bless you. You know, the question that I would have for you is, I'm glad that you put this in, and I want to get an update on where it stands right now. But, you know, why not put this in for high school students? I mean, they're supposed to be getting this anyway in high school. Is that the reason why you did not make that part of the bill?
Absolutely. So there's already a law in North Carolina that this is a requirement in high schools. It was just updated in 2019, and that's so important, and I'm so glad that's there. But when you go to college, if you choose to go to college, you're choosing to learn some things at a deeper level, just like you may take a math or a science in high school. But you know what? When you go to college, you have to take those things again. And so that's why we wrote this for the college requirement. When it passed in South Carolina, it was not partisan. It passed the South Carolina Senate 45-0 and the House of Representatives 91-12. Here in North Carolina, we seem to be doing pretty well. We got filed in both chambers, in the House and Senate. We have a total of 28 sponsors across both chambers. We have all 4 co-chairs of both the House and Senate higher education committees included as our sponsors. So I can tell you right now, UNC really seems to be shaking in their boots. They really do not like it. Their official position right now is they haven't come out officially against it, but I could tell you some conversations that have happened offline where they are very upset about this, calling some of the legislators. They don't like this bill. And which, if you may hear the quote from World War II, right? If you're over the target, if you're getting flack, it means you're over the target. So they don't like it. That lets me know it's been written perfectly.
How can you come out publicly against something like this, where college students are being required to read the United States Constitution, Declaration of Independence, Emancipation Proclamation, Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from the Birmingham jail? I mean, how can you come out against this publicly? But, somebody like Gene Nickel up there from the UNC School of Law will, I guarantee it.
Well, you're absolutely right. They can't come out publicly, which is why they're coming out against it privately. And again, it's just such a shame to see that that they do require global understanding. Let me read a couple classes that students can take as an option to fulfill that required course in global understanding. Students at UNC Chapel Hill, they can take a class called Geography 435, Global Environmental Justice. Music 248, Gender on the Musical Stage. I don't know what that means. Women and Gender Study 410, Comparative Queer Politics. Or here's a good one, Chinese 356, Chinese Environmental Literature. Look, regardless of the merits of these classes, and you and I may laugh offline about these, our American government and our system that protects our freedoms is a lot more important than these other things. So here in North Carolina, we're doing real well. We just passed both the Higher Education Committee and the Community College Committees in the North Carolina House. There was actually about 2 or 3 members that unfortunately fought against it, but we just had an overwhelming vote in the Community Colleges Committee on Thursday, a 15-3 voice vote. And we're moving really quickly, maybe even this week, to have our full vote on the House floor this week or next in the House of Representatives. So that's super exciting to see.
Good for you, man. You're my hero. Do you have political aspirations, Jameson?
I don't know about that. Sometimes when I do something here that I think, hey, this is so non-political, right? And this is just something that preserves our freedom. And I see some of the pushback that I even got in South Carolina, and here even that I'm getting here in North Carolina. That's pretty disheartening. So I try to keep the politics aside and say, hey, you know what? People need to learn about our wonderful country.
Well, God bless you. Keep us posted on, and of course, I've seen some of the media hasn't done a lot on it. I've seen a little bit. There was a story. There was a story on one of the left-wing newspapers out of Raleigh. I think probably the NNO or somebody that had the headline was something like, "Should college students be required to take a civics class?"
Yeah, it was pretty quiet for a while. We just in the last day or so, the AP just picked it up. That was kind of exciting, and got on, not on TV, but Fox News webpage picked it up, and WRAL picked it up. So that's you're right. It's been pretty quiet, but I have an idea that after the full floor House vote, it's gonna get a few bit more folks' attention.
Yeah. Jameson Broggi, who has written the North Carolina Reach Act. I love it, and it'll be interesting to see here if it passes, and I think it will. How Cooper's going to deal with it. Is Cooper going to sign this thing?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think what's going to happen is I think you're going to see all the Republicans in the House and probably half the Democrats vote for it. And then in the Senate, I think I don't know what it'll be in the Senate. So I think you'd see one of two options. If it passes the legislature, it's going to become law, but there's one of two ways. Either number one, again, you're going to get half the Democrats and all the Republicans, so that's veto-proof majority. Or number two, because you get that kind of support, it's going to look really bad if you're a governor vetoing this in a purple state. So my guess is he'd probably sign it.
Well, you saw he did not veto. He had till Friday to veto the anti-rioting bill, and he didn't veto that. He did veto it the last time it came up. So, I think that's an indication that, and I can tell you that I've met them and talked to some of them. There are some Democrats in the House that will vote to override his veto. And we didn't have that in recent years. And so I've talked to some of the Democrats in the House that have said, if we're close on some of these things, we've already sent a message to Cooper that we'll vote to override the veto. So he is, and of course the Senate has a veto-proof majority already. So this one could be a test. We'll see. Jameson,
yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Well, thanks a lot. This was just awesome. Again, this is a lot better than losing on the Genius Quiz. And yeah, thanks so much. This is a lot of fun. And
hey, listen, you're an impressive guy, and I appreciate you. Appreciate your efforts and everything you're doing. And thank you for your service to our country and the Marines. God bless you.
Well, thanks a lot, Henry, and thanks a lot, P-Man. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Stay in touch with us. Jameson Broggi from Morehead City, who is a Marine attorney. I get, what do you call that? A judge advocate in the Marines? I should have asked him that. That's a great story. All right, we've got the Genius Quiz coming up and more as we